Reality check. Introducing Dr. Clyde Winters. And on their name, put some respect. Yeah, yeah. I think it's time for reality check. Yeah, reality check. Gotta get you back on cold. Reality check. For the young and the old. Reality check. Yeah, to heal your soul. Reality check. Get ready for the show.
What up, though? What up, though? How
What
you doing, Eve?
up? What's up, Dr. Winters? Peace to the room. Are y'all ready for another reality check? Because I am.
We need a reality check because this whole thing about Sharon and Karen. What is this? I don't know, because see, it's so contradictory. It's crazy. It's crazy. How do you show you care? How do you it's just something, when you talk about Sharon is caring, Eve, what do you really think? What are you saying?
I think that I think it all boils down to some basic concepts that we learned in maybe kindergarten or maybe even before that, especially if you have brothers and sisters or a big family. You're told that you have to share things because that's how we get along. It's how you communicate with people, that that you're friendly, that you care about their feelings. If they want something and you have it, then you share with them because you care that they wanted something that you had. It's a strange concept to me because as I'm explaining it to you, I don't know that shows care. I think it shows something else. Maybe it's empathy. And is caring empathy? I'm not sure. Maybe it's an aspect of, but I feel like I wanted to talk about sharing is caring, or is sharing caring, because as Black Americans, we're always getting everybody else's rap, everybody else's leftovers, so to speak, the stuff that they don't want to claim. And then they tell us that we don't have anything that's ours to claim. But here we are sharing our stuff all over the place, and nobody is really giving us the proper accolades or appreciation, or even putting respect on our names, to the point where some Black people of history have been portrayed by people who don't look like them at all in the media because they want to, I guess, write us out of history. And we're so sharing that if we don't say anything about it, or if we don't have any negative words about their representation or misrepresentation, then we've allowed it. And I guess that's sharing, but it's to our detriment sometimes. So I don't know if it's caring.
No, it's very complicated. I think back is that I was the what, 1, 2, 3. Okay, my mother had my brother. Then she had two twins, Nobi and Maddie, and then she had me, and then my sister Marianne sneaked up on me. I'm mentioning their name because they're all dead now, but may they rest in honor and rest in peace. Because I know that in the Crystal City they're having a lot of good fun and they don't have to worry about nothing. But I think back. You brought up kindergarten, and I think back. I didn't really like that. I didn't really like that because when I was in kindergarten, it seems as though, okay, I had crayons, and my mom bought me the 16 pack. That was going on. Everybody else had 8-pack. This is back in the 50s now. And I had the 16 pack. I had 16 beautiful crayons. And then, in a sense, the teachers always tell share. And then when I would share, they would take my crayons and maybe break them, or they would just use them up. And I would say, daggone, why am I being abused? I already had my sister sneak up on me and take away my babyhood away from me. And so in a way, this whole thing about sharing and caring, but you never think about the fact, how do you feel when you have to share? Because a lot of times when my kids were growing up, okay, when the games came out, when the electronic games came out, then I had to then my oldest sons, they were kind of up there adultish and stuff. And so then I would want to try to make them, but I couldn't make them to teach the younger son how to play the games. Then the youngest son, that was my knee baby, almost to the last. Then I wanted him to teach his baby brother how to play the games, and yet a lot of times they would get mad at me because see, I saw this as an effective way. People saying, why did you want in a sense these kids be playing games? I'll tell you why. Housing 527, Stony Stout. What up, though? I wanted them to do this because see, they wanted to play the games too, but I never played the games. But then I wasn't being respectful. I don't think I was being respectful of their time, and so as a parent, I felt I was right, you see. But at the same, now that I think about it, I still think I was right, but I don't know if it was fair. What about that in terms of sharing and caring? But is it always fair? I don't know.
There you go.
You teach your young kids. What be happening in your classroom?
That's some real stuff. You got parents who go above and beyond, and their child has all the colors. I'm talking, they got skin tones, they got metallic colors, they've got it all. Then you've got some children who don't have an 8-pack. They don't have any crayons. So the moral, or essentially the teacher is telling you to share because of your abundance, because they're children who are less fortunate than you, right? You're teaching this concept to babies who they don't care that there's somebody less fortunate. And the one who doesn't have, they don't care either, as much as they just want to be able to do whatever it is that we're here to do. And if it's to color a page, then they need some things to color with. So, I don't like when adults make children share, but I get it because sometimes life's not fair. And if you are teaching a child that everything is going to be equal, that it is going to be just, and that things are going to have, a consequence for every bad thing, then, you're kind of setting them up because life's not like that. The bad guy gets away sometimes. The good guy gets shit on sometimes. It's not fair. I don't know how else you would teach that except for sharing is caring. It's not caring as much as,
like you said, it's very complicated though, Eve. It's very complicated because I think about the fact is that when I was growing up, women are nice, women are soft, women are gentle, women care. That's what I was taught. But then as you get older, you start to say some of the girls are assholes, but every woman is supposed to be, caring, you see. But I think the thing is this, is that what makes it very difficult is that we go through this whole process of sharing is caring. But then sometimes there's consequences, I've had students in a sense that they would share, but they were manipulative too.
Ooh.
Yeah, a lot of times, okay, especially girls. One day I had a substitute. I had one of the teachers was absent, and they're trying to be cheap, and the substitute didn't show up. So, on my break, I had to go and fill in for one of the teachers who wasn't there. How you doing, Maxwell Jenkins? Doorbell, what up, though? But the thing is, this is that, and then I had this little girl. She came up to me and said, "Mr. Winters." I said, "What?" She said, "Mary told Jane not to talk to me." And so when I said at second grade, you already had girls who were trying to get the rest of the girls to be with them. And see, these were the girls who had brought candy every day. These were the girls who brought the candy. These were the girls who had the extra crayons, had the beautiful barrettes in their hair and all that. And so a lot of the other girls looked up to them. And so in a way, even though they were sharing, I don't know if it was really caring. I felt that they were sharing so they could manipulate the other girls in the class or something. They could get followers. I don't know. You're with them every day. So it's complicated. Parents, let me tell you something, family. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to tell you. As a teacher, when my kids are 7 years old, I see them as little children. This is bad but when I'm teaching and your kid is 7 years old, I feel they should be a little adult. That's wrong. It's don't get me wrong. I think they should have discipline. I think they should know how to be quiet. They should know how to sit in their seat. But that's what you do. We see our children as being needy. We see our children as being weak, and we see our children as needing protection. Whereas when you're a teacher and you have these same 7-year-olds, then you see them as being different, and that's wrong. But I think this whole idea of kids using sharing as a way to manipulate other children. I mean, what do you think about that? Because you got those little kids, and I know a lot of times that's what they're doing.
Oh, they absolutely do that. It is how you garner these best friendships that people keep saying that they've had for all these years. And I'm not poo-pooing on anybody's best friend since grade school. But what I am saying is that a lot of these, yes, Dorabella, it's exactly manipulation. Look, that children know what everybody likes. And if you're a child who has a parent who's more giving, more sharing, then you might use that to get other kids to pay attention to you. I've seen it. I see it happen all the time. New markers, special. It's not even anything super expensive or extravagant. It's just extra. They might have a fidget spinner or some silly putty. The slime, I hate slime, but they have slime and they share the slime, and everybody has slime except for one kid who doesn't have slime. And it's like, all right, look, I know what y'all are doing, and I feel you, because I really do think that there needs to be we live in a very soft society, Dr. Winters. So some of these
can you define soft?
Say again?
You said a soft society.
A
soft society.
Participation trophies and people thinking that everybody should have a say in certain things, or that, what you said hurt my feelings, so now I get to do X, Y, and Z to you. That's what I mean by soft. I guess to an extreme, when I was growing up, we joked each other, and some of those jokes were really mean, but it wasn't malicious. I guess it was just more of we have a way of passing time by paying attention to detail and then seeing if we can be entertained by that. I can get that, and I can understand that. What I see in the classrooms a lot is the pecking order coming about. And I don't like the mean girls or cliques, but I do think that children need to learn how to speak up for themselves. You can't go run and tell your teacher every time something is bad, but you should know that there is someone more able than you to handle a situation if you can't handle it yourself. Now, into the sharing, one kid doesn't have, but everybody else does have. I've always just tried to redirect us back to classwork. Like, none of y'all should be playing with that right now. Let's put it away, or I'm going to have all the slime. And like I said, I don't even like slime, so it's gone in the trash, and they know it's gone in the trash. So it gets nipped in the bud, but it does come back at lunchtime. When they have their free time, they do that. They play their social hierarchies, and I let it play out like the circle of life, because, if you can't wing it here with children who are not malicious, they are not out to get you. They just know how to use their voice and know how to use their things to make people move. I think that's something that children should learn how to do. They should be learning this stuff from each other, not being sheltered from it, not me stepping in and saying, you need to make sure Johnny has some slime too. No, for what? If he didn't want to give Johnny some slime, then he did. You don't have to. I feel like when we step in like that, it's so phony. Johnny knows that you didn't want to give him some slime. So now we've got that dynamic going on, right? Like, you had to give it to me. Like, I don't know if we should be teaching that either, right? Like, things should be given because someone wants to give it to you, or earned because you worked for it and you knew that this was coming. Outside of that, sharing, caring, sharing, manipulation. Yeah, that sounds a little bit more palatable.
Yeah. The thing is this, I remember back in the day. How you doing, Royal Meat? I remember back in the day, we used to have a junior honor society, and and back in the early 2000s, we had our junior honor society was really sharp. We had some kids who were the best kids in the state every year. Every year we had at least two or three kids who would get scholarships, to go to private schools for 4 years, because they were really sharp. And so then we used to have a disagreement. Dorvell said the last kid in the race, sixth place, gets a ribbon and trophy. That was true, because see, in a way, when we would go downstate, I was one of the sponsors, and then the rest of the sponsors were women. And I would always say, we got to go down and kick some ass. And then they would get mad at me. Don't tell these kids, Clyde, Mr. Winters, that they're going down to kick ass.
That's
You
right.
got to. I said, but that's what we're going down there to do.
That's
No,
right.
no, you tell them that. I said it's about winning. You want the kids to understand. How you doing, Dewan B? What up, though? You want them in a sense to understand that it's competition, and it's about kicking ass, because we used to go downstate, and we a little school on the south side, and we would go down and beat all the white kids. We would beat all the white kids. The white schools, they would come down. We would have a state competition, and they would come down, and our school would kick their butts. Our school was really super until my principal died. When she died, they brought in a lot of jealous people. And my principal, she used to listen to me, so I would tell her stuff to keep us on top. That's how we did things. And so then, but the thing is, this is that I think you got to give kids a kick-ass spirit. They got to understand that everything is about, how you doing, Brad Murray? You got to think about that. Everything is about being the top dog. Everything is about winning. Yeah, sometimes you're going to lose, but you don't have to comfort people who lose. You don't have to share with them the ribbon. But I mean, when a group win a ribbon, you can feel better.
That sharing is caring.
Yeah.
If you rode the bench, but your team won, you won too. That's sharing. I think at least you were out there. You worked hard at practice. I don't.
But sometimes you can sharing is caring. Okay, if you notice, I got this necklace on. I got my Sienna cartouche. And this is something that my former students, they were from different classes. I've had 4 classes, and these people, they got together. Some guys and girls got together, and they brought me this beautiful chain, and the cartouche in Egyptian reads Winters. And I felt that was really showing that they cared about me, and sometimes it just overwhelmed me. It overwhelmed me, because I just said to myself, daggone, how, they gave this to me. They went out, they raised up the money, they did it secretly. And this kind of shocked the hell out of me. And the reason it shocked the hell out of me is that, you never know how you affect people, and to think, and I really said, damn, they're sharing something with me, because see, when you take the time to say to a person a good word, or to send them a nice gift, and you don't have to send them a gift. I mean, hey, everybody knows, on Mother's Day, you get your mom, your grandma, your wife, get them a gift. My wife would always say, I don't want any candy. That just makes my ass get fatter. I want jewelry. So then I had to get some jewelry. But then the thing is this, though, but then when people are giving you stuff, and it's not that day. It's not a special thing. And I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate all my students who put their money together to do this, because they didn't have to do that. And I thought that was really showing that they care. So in a way, sharing can be caring. But I think it's when people are caring, somehow they sacrifice. It doesn't have to be $1 million, but they sacrifice the time, or they sacrifice something to give someone else something. They did a study And they found that people who give stuff, they feel better about life. They're happier people than people in the sense who may not want to share or give that much. So I found it very interesting.
No, that's
You know,
nice. I love that necklace. I think that is
thank you.
an appropriate gesture. And I like that they were able to do it unbeknownst to you
Yeah,
because
well, it is my sin. I am the Pharaoh. I'll be the Pharaoh research. Not really.
no, own it. Own it. I think that really what you just said is it's deep because when you put yourself out there to give, I guess that is when you're sharing, but is it caring? That blanket statement, it could go a bunch of different ways. And then, like you just said, studies have shown that people are feeling a lot lighter, when they're not being so bogged down by things, or giving something to someone and how it makes them feel can, release some load off of you, whatever it is that you've got going on. I've seen that to an extreme, with love bombing, people just giving and giving and giving and giving. But at the end of all of that giving, there's going to be a take. And sometimes when people give a lot, it's because they're expecting something later. So if I share with you now, then you're going to have to share with me later because I gave that to you, whenever I gave it to you.
That's
So
complicated.
it is. And I think that learning this concept in baby school, in grade school, it's a setup because it's a forced, the cycle is, it's give your stuff away. Don't be mad about it. And maybe someone will give you something later. And I think that all of that is, it can be a detriment to us because we're so humanitarian. I feel like we're already so giving that nobody had to tell us to help someone who needed help. And I don't think that that's, but this is my thought. I don't know that that's something that I was taught as much as it's something that I've always felt. If I felt like someone needed and I had, then I had no issue giving. And they didn't necessarily have to ask. So,
But that's you'll be surprised. It's very hard. It's a very hard. You think it's easy, Eve, but it's very hard for foundational Black Americans to really give those things that they love.
So is it familial? Like because my family is like that I was just going to be like this?
It was because your family was like that, and because you may teach your children. That's like me when my kids were growing up. I used to talk to my wife. I said, "Are we really raising them correctly?" In the sense that my mother taught me that. My mother said, "Clyde, you guys, you're never better than anybody else. You're never better than anybody else. So never look down on anybody. Always share." So then I taught my kids. So we told my kids that they should always share. But then later, as I got older, I said that I weakened them because, as you said, sometimes there's people out there that don't really share sincerely. They're there to take. For example, as a scholar, I'm as a researcher, I can tell you this is that as a researcher, over the years, a lot of people, somebody send me an email or something, they want some information, I would give them the information. But you'll be surprised how many people will not share with you information. I mean, my grandma, she was like Fort Knox. She only gave all the good recipes to my sister.
I was about to say this has got to be a food thing. Yes, no, but that's like something we started talking about earlier. I find that sometimes we overshare and then sometimes we keep things close. And antiquated, I feel like the keeping things close was because people weren't ready for it or it wasn't for them per se. Example, I guess, for me in my own personal life, I went to Catholic school. So during Mass, there were portions of the sermon that were in Latin and then portions that were in English. And I asked the teachers, why are they talking to us in Latin? And their answer was about hierarchy of things. And, I guess I didn't really understand it then, but as I've been researching and listening to you and other scholars, I think that it's a coveting of information because of how powerful it could be or how people use it. And then from there, you can't just share all the keys to the kingdom with everybody because they're going to do something bad with it. And then going to your grandma's recipes, some people in the family will sell the recipe, so, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying that, we keep a lot of the good food things under wraps because who knows who's going to get it and do something with it.
But still, it was just our ideas that, why do you want to keep this secret? You make the best rolls, you make the best pastry, you can make the best, you made the best lamb. And I mean, damn, I only used to eat her lamb. Anybody else cook lamb, they don't know what they're doing. I used to like to get gravy and giblet gravy, get some gizzards, cut up in some gravy and heat it with grits. But she could touch that stuff. I'm not going to be like say, put your foot in it, but she could really do this stuff. She could really do it. And I felt it wasn't fair. For example, I used to give a lot of knowledge out, and then people, in a sense, they would take my knowledge. They would never say, "Oh, I got it from Clive Winters," or "I got it from Dr. Winters." It's a person nowadays. Every day he's talking about the Aboriginals, and he's saying stuff he heard me say, but he doesn't mention my name. But the point is that I don't care, because the fact, in the sense, is that I understand that the spread of knowledge is more important than holding the knowledge. It's like what Booker T. Washington said. He said that we're like crabs. And see, but I feel you gotta share. And the reason that I feel that in relationship to Black history, Black people share, just like you. I mean, damn. I didn't even know you, but I knew of you and heard you, because every time it was a Twitter piece, some of these brothers would have you on and stuff, and you would be trying to coordinate and maybe trying to be a moderator. But they didn't ever look like they respected you, to me. I'm just saying. I don't know how they felt. I'm just a listener, because I would listen the next day. I couldn't stay up all night like you guys. But the thing is that, you were always giving to yourself, and you was always sharing, because you care about foundational Black Americans. You care about us owning what we own, or trying to make sure that we have ownership. You felt that these brothers had something to say, but again, most of the time I didn't see them really showing you the respect I felt you deserved. Now, Dewan B was different. Dewan B, very supportive. Dewan B is always down, always down. And family, Dewan B has a program. He has a GoFundMe for his he's working on developing programs that deal with our music, not just hip hop or country music, but all of our musical history. Support this brother.
Yes.
Go and support him. But
it's
again,
hip hop. That's the first thing. You go to his page, check that out.
Yeah. And so then a lot of times when you're sharing, but me, because of the fact, in the sense that I never had any money, I could go along with that. How did you feel always sharing when people, in a sense, didn't seem as though they cared that you shared, but you cared?
No, that's a real question. I ask myself that often because I haven't learned from it yet. I'm still on the loop of sharing or oversharing because I care so much. And I feel like maybe it's my Achilles heel, because I would rather help somebody get there than say that I could have helped you get there, but I just didn't want to. But in the same breath, or in the same thought, I've also seen people that I've tried to help that didn't want the help. So it's like, okay, well, not that I don't care, but if you don't care, then I can't care. So then I have learned to kind of pull my share from that type of relationship. However, I find that we're a people who don't get things from other people, and I hate that. And Maybe it's
How
just
do you mean? How do you mean?
What do I mean? The Chinese food takeout place is not in the Chinese Asian neighborhoods, or the Mexican taco truck is not necessarily in their neighborhoods. We are always getting from other people something where we're going to have to give them something for it, but then it's not reciprocal. I don't see our shops in other people's neighborhoods or districts, or places that we would frequent. Not really. You know, if you want to go to a black stop or a black shop, you go to the hood. That's it, really. And then everybody gets to come to the hood. You know, you can have all sorts of different people doing business in the hood, but don't let those hood niggas come over here to the business district, or, you know, to Chinatown, or, you know, all these other little places that people congregate and spend money. I don't see that it's a reciprocal thing. I feel like we're always giving and then everybody's taking, but then they're never giving anything. Or if they're going to give, then they give us something we never asked for, or something we didn't want. Like we're telling the government we want reparations, or that we're owed reparations, and then they go and paint on the ground across the country, Black Lives Matter. Like, nobody asked for that. But okay, this is what they're getting. Okay, they gave us Juneteenth. Okay.
But we didn't ask for it.
No, nobody asked for that. And what about the people who don't even work a regular type of 9 to 5? Yeah. You know, how is that helping them? I just find that other groups keep, if they are going to give us something, they're giving us something we never asked for, or something that's not really going to help us. Oh man, is this real in slavery? The redacted Bibles. So they let some niggas read, but then you couldn't even read the whole thing because the message was too big for you, or you might rebel against us if you read this passage in scripture.
No, that didn't happen until after 1831. After 1831, after the Nat Turner Rebellion, what happened is that you had to have a white person had to be at every church service or whatever, you know, because see, you got to remember that before 1831, black people on the plantation, they didn't believe in Jesus Christ. They believed in Jehovah, the God of war, the God of liberation, because they wanted somebody who's going to free them, you know. And so then they did come into the churches, and they wanted to share with us. They wanted to share with us a part of the Bible that is still done today. You know, is that you know, we still in a sense that, you know, how we teach the Bible and how they teach the Bible is totally different. You know, and that we call, okay, just like among us, anybody that can say Revelation 12:9-58, hike. Anybody who knows a lot of phrases, you know, they're Bible scholars. They're scholars. See, our scholars can be scholars based on the fact that they can share with us different phrases from the Bible. We don't even know if they're telling the truth or not. But we've been conditioned to accept that, to accept the fact, in a sense, that this is a spread of knowledge. You know, sharing is caring. We feel that if somebody can really recite the Bible, then hey, this person be held up on a pedestal. But I was around a lot of wine heads, you know, and these wine heads, they used to say, Clyde, you know, Clyde, you can just talk that ish, you know. I mean, hey, you know, for a young brother, I'm gonna tell you what you should be. You should be a preacher. You should be a preacher, and then if you be a preacher, you can be a real pimp, baby, a real pimp. See, and then when you talk that talk, you know, you get the women and kind of touch them. They showed me a little spot in the back. Kind of touch them here in the back, and you get all that money, baby.
All that money.
So I'm learning from these wine heads that to be a preacher is to be pimping, and they're sharing, but are they caring? You know, that's one of the things that drove me out the church. Is that I was looking at this preacher. Our preacher was going with one of the women in the congregation. I had to admit she was fine. I couldn't be mad at him, you know. But the thing is, this is that I always feel that that if sharing is caring, I always feel that you have to live the life. You have to live the life. You know what I'm saying? You know, you had to live the life, and because you had to live the life, and because you had to live the life, then therefore you had to kind of deal with it. You know, for example, Dorvell, he says that's why I coined the term white supremacy, Christo Corpus Corporation. You know, the B system means your black body fuels their economy. Yes, that's because they always see us. How you doing, Timbo Slice? We always, in a sense, they do see us as an economic resource. You see, even today, we think of sharing as caring when white people see us as an asset. An asset in the sense is how you make money, and they always see us as a way to make money. Timbo said, I just heard a white general talk about the forming of the colonies, and he said it was over 5,000 blacks that fought under George Washington. I say this because he only had 22,000 troops. Of course he did. But see, if you read Lee Cummings' research, he shows you that George Washington and some of them other people that we've been conditioned to believe that were white were maybe in a sense black. But they didn't see themselves as black, you see. They didn't see themselves as black because, see, the only Negroes were people from Africa. So if you was a black Irishman or a German, you know, I mean, the Germans, that's one of the things that Benjamin Franklin had a problem with, is that all these Germans were mainly black. And so he didn't want them to take over. But the thing is, is that we've been conditioned to feel that this isn't true. And see, but sharing and caring is such a complicated thing, because see, we don't know if sharing is sincere, or is sharing in a sense just a way to manipulate, just a way to control us. You know, it's very hard.
It is. And I think about the Black American struggle and how everybody kind of piggybacks off of our struggle, and then they get benefits, tangibles, resources. So then in a sense, we've even shared our plight with people, and then they're getting things that we're owed because nobody's saying that the stuff is happening to them is right. But I think we should, maybe put some order in the payouts, right? But maybe some people just don't feel like our debt is equal, or maybe they don't even feel like we're owed a debt. So sharing, being manipulative, I find that people who don't agree with our debt, they would rather share everything, because why not? It's the American way. We are all assimilated into this culture, into this community of everybody from anywhere can be here and live the American dream. It's a democracy where all of our voices matter. We even all vote for, who's going to run things. Your voice matters. Share your stuff with us. And then, is it care or is it something else? I think that maybe sharing as caring would be if it was sincere. And then from there, maybe we shouldn't call it sharing, or our ears should perk up when people start talking about this other type of share, like what's in it for me share. Because if you're sharing, then it shouldn't be a what's in it for me. It would just be that you shared something with me because you wanted me to have it. Like, your students didn't look for you to give them anything from the gift that they shared with you, or it was a gesture that they wanted to give freely, and it at a sacrifice, at a cost. And I think that's a genuine share when their hand isn't outstretched waiting for a payment. Because right, there we go. If the sharing involves a payment, it's not sharing anymore. It's payment for services or goods.
That's true, but it's very interesting. Dorvell said the system of capitalism started as classism and later turned to race system based on color. But see, that's the whole point, is that's what Gerald Horne, he's a black professor at University of Houston. And that was what Gerald Horne was talking about in terms of how classism in the United States is what turned into this. You see, for example, we have classism among us today. For example, if you're Boule, like when I was going to college, always, they wanted to get me to join a fraternity, because I played football. They felt I should be an Omega Psi Phi. And then the Alpha Phi Alpha, a bunch of them was kind of a little to me like this. But anyway, but the point is this, is that because of the fact that when I went to college, I had two things that as a black man that made me superior. Number one, I had the gift of gab. Number two, I knew how to dance. And I knew how to dance, and I can make girls look in a sense, look excellent on the floor. You see, a girl likes a good dancer if that dancer can make them look super. And see, what I found with the fraternity people is that the people in fraternities, number one, I found they didn't know how to talk to girls. They got to rape people. And because the fact that they, rape. They got to rape people because they were their sisters or somebody else who felt that they had been honored to be raped by a fraternity person. But they turned into boule, just like today. I was talking to Dr. Short, and many of the fraternity people and the sorority people, they've been bought off by the Democrats. And because of the fact that they're boule, instead of them wanting to see black people be supportive, and they're trying to share this whole idea that vote for Biden no matter what. You see, instead of in a sense saying, hey, you should want to, in a sense, maybe be thoughtful or maybe vote for the couch. And yet you'll find many people like Karen Hunter and Greg Carr, they're considered black power people today, especially Greg Carr. He's at Howard University. He teaches history there. And since he's hooked up with Karen Hunter, and Karen Hunter's on series. And and then they started Narrative and Canubia. I belong to Narrative and Canubia. I try to support anything that's quote unquote blacky. And so then, but they're considered black power. And although they're considered black power, they're sharing with us this boule concept is that just vote to be voting. And I'm going to tell you, family, I'm ashamed of myself. I am ashamed of myself. And I'm ashamed of myself because of the fact it's very hard for me not to want to vote. I vote in the local election, but I will not vote for a presidential candidate because they're not offering me anything. But I feel weird because me and my wife would go and vote, and I make my kids go vote, everybody go vote. I still make them go vote, but I told them you better not vote for no president. And last election, one of my sons, he hate Coon, so he wrote in Donald Duck. We gonna get a president, baby. But the point is this: is that some of the sharing that people are giving us, I don't know if it's really caring. They're sharing with us, attitudes. They're sharing with us behaviors that are not going to be good for the family. It's not going to be good for black people. Right. So in a way, sometimes sharing isn't caring, because sometimes caring, in a sense, sharing is just a way to get you to do things that can hurt you and the family, and the family.
I think about the information sharing age that we're in of the technology and the internet. And in real time, people tried to share information that would help them stay healthy. And it was getting overpowered by other information. And a lot of it, it was like an overshare from this other side of this is how you're supposed to stay safe with regards to your health. And, on both sides of this argument, you've got people trying to figure out what to do, because it's like, well, why would they tell me this if they're trying to hurt me? Or, why wouldn't they tell me this if it's going to hurt me? And, I feel like we should pay more attention to who's sharing what, and then maybe we can make better decisions about if we're going to accept what's being given. Because again, if it's not being given freely, then that's something to pay attention to anyway. But if it's if it's an overshare or an overpour, to what end? Like, why is it so much? And is it maybe taking the place of something else? People aren't asking questions because, like you said earlier, people just kind of blindly trust the information depending on where it's coming from. So if you've got a source that's a news outlet and it's been around for 70 years, then maybe you would trust that source because it's giving you breaking news. It sometimes, most of the time, gets the weather right. It reports on different things that's going on. Why would it not be something that you could use? But then in real time, you've got people who, are unconventional, people who don't necessarily live the way that you live, and they're also sharing information. And to what end, or at what point is their share not being equal to the other side's share? And then I guess it goes back to trust. If people are already living in a lifestyle that's not familiar to you, then you're kind of probably just like, oh, I don't know, versus what everybody is doing. Peer pressure. I think I saw that in the chat. I think Doravel said it. Peer pressure will make you share. And then that kind of goes back into the manipulation thing. Damn, you talked about the frats and getting to rape people and sharing your body with people because of that access to. And I don't know if people care about what's being shared, because you can go on Facebook and see that people are sharing their lunch, dinner, travel plans, where they are right now in real time. They can check in, they can check out, they can, make a review. It's a lot of sharing and not necessarily caring where it's going or how it's being used. To oh man, a detriment. I saw my homie sister Taisha Essex, who has her own channel. She's a weapons advocate. There she is. Taisha got into an argument on Facebook, and it was the strangest argument. Taisha, I know you remember this. The girl shared that she was going somewhere, like on a trip. And then Taisha says something along the lines of, you need to be safe because you shouldn't tell people when you're going out of town, because then you could, that's kind of opening your property to, hey, nobody's here, come check me out. And this woman just got so upset with her. And I'm like, man, you're oversharing. Someone's telling you that what you're saying isn't safe. And you're just like, no, I'm going to beat this into the ground. I am definitely not going to be here in the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to be in Tahiti and y'all are going to know about it. And then I'm like, well, maybe she's trying to get an insurance claim. I don't know. She's trying to get robbed. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, this is that I noticed in the last maybe 5-10 years, it's not like it used to be. People used to be getting robbed so much that people don't tell as much. But I think that, again, as I said, is that's why you always wonder, are you really raising your kids so that they can make it in this world? Because you want your kids in the sense to really be a student, to really look at, evaluate every situation. You want them to evaluate their friends, but we don't evaluate our friends. I mean, some people, we know that they're full of ish, but we like them. And so then we never really look at all their faults, I mean, just think if we looked at the faults of our partners, I mean, hey, there it is. My wife, she's all shapely and she's nice shape, walk every day, eat right, exercise, all that type of stuff, and keep in shape. And then you see my fat ass coming around. But the whole point is this, is that, I mean, hey, but the thing is this, that is, what do you do? What do you do? You see, you want to share with people the fact, that that exercise is good for you. But then you say that, but then you hear these people, I got to be 100 years old because I drank every day. Mm-hmm. I got to be 100 years old because, this is it. I'm going to tell you the secret. The secret is every day smoke a Winston or a Camel cigarette. They don't make Camels anymore. But then, smoke a cigarette every day and you'll be okay. And then somebody else said, I made it because I always ate healthy. I'm a vegetarian. Everybody's got all these keys to success. And they're sharing with you these keys to success. But then you say, damn, people still die. People still have heart attacks and all that type of stuff. And then some people don't get to be 100. And each one of you who's got to be 100, you told me something different. So is there a real card? I like to see life like this, is that you can share with me stuff and I'll listen to you. And you may be concerned and you may care, But I always feel that you had to play the hand that you're dealt. How you doing, Taisha Essex? And you know, how you doing? But anyway.
No, that's right. Are we rearing the minis? Are we rearing our children to be safe? I think about our first number one, the number one, and she's so sweet. She was such a sweet baby. Actually, all five of them sweet, 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 sweet babies. But she was so sweet. Yeah, right. No, she we would go places and everybody wants to talk to her and she's all, hi, hi, hi. And I tried to have this conversation with her when she was young, and it went in one ear and out the other ear. And it was like, you can't just be speaking to everybody because we don't know these people, and it actually would bring people more around us. Like, I don't want these people around us. You're bringing them to us. Okay, you're so cute and everybody wants to talk to you. No, we're here. Yeah, get in the store and get out the store. And as we started adding more minis, I find that they were all like that. They all want to talk to everybody. But
because you probably talk to everybody.
Maybe when I was little. Now I very much have they say I have resting bitch face and I'm all mad in the store and I'm really not thinking about anybody more than just get in the store, get what I need to get out. But I said all that to say that first lesson with the first one, it helped me with the other ones, because as she got older, we talked about stranger danger. We talk about different scenarios where people might try to act friendly with you, and you being so friendly, it might not be safe for you. So as we're having more minis and adding to the group, she was able to pass that message along. So while we are all out shopping and they all are being friendly, she'll remind them, hey, we don't talk to strangers. We're not going to do that. And I kind of like that, the programming. I love the programming of it all. Because I feel like that will keep them safe, even though they are very friendly. There's a time and a place. You want to talk to people, put you somewhere with some people you can talk to.
Right now, though, I was on a plane once, and so a lot of times, we used to go on trips. At the family, we would go on family trips, and so my wife and my daughter and my son would be sitting together, and I would be sitting by myself, And so then one day I was sitting next to this white lady, and she had her child with her. And so then, she was just talking all over the place, and her kid was getting all upset. And then finally her kid said, "Why are you talking to him? You don't know him. You told me I shouldn't talk to strangers." She was kind of I think she was kind of maybe I think she was autistic. I think she was autistic. Very close to being, probably, what we would call what we used to call retarded. But she was right. You're telling your kids don't talk to everybody, but then you're talking to people freely. So I think it's very difficult because you're trying to share with them words of wisdom, but then they're looking at you, and so it's very difficult, I think, unless you present to them the character that you want them to play, what the role you want them to play.
Mm-hmm. That's very real, and they are sponges. They are watching and absorbing everything that we're doing, and they're quick to call us out on the hypocrisy of it all. That is funny.
Not all the time. Only if you teach your kids. If you've taught your kids, if you say sorry to them, if you say I'm wrong to them, then they will check you sometime in a nice way.
Right.
But you have to allow they're only honest with you if you're honest with them. But if you set up a certain airs where I'm mama, I'm daddy, and don't say nothing, don't cross me. I'm always right. I don't think they talk as much.
No, you're right. I would agree with that. That's something that I think we have to learn. But it's funny. I had a whole reality check moment when you were talking about the people who live to be 100 and how all of their different ways to get there is not the same. There's no congruency other than they all got to 100. And it's like, yeah, we're not all going to do it the same way. but it can get done, so that there's that.
And Dorvell is right, Dr. Winters. That's not fat. That's Big Mac. Yeah. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Eve.
I gotta have a great plant-based Big Mac substitute that I might I was thinking about putting it on the channel. Yoshi got me inspired talking about his food channel and all the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah, he sent it to me. I was looking at it on TikTok. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, sharing. I think that sharing could be caring. And it's the person, right? If the person isn't a nice person, then they're probably not sharing to care. They're probably expecting a payment for whatever it is that they've given you. They tell you not to, nothing in life comes free. And I think that comes at the same, in the same line as sharing is caring. Because if nothing in life is free, then if someone's giving me something, then they're expecting something. Somewhere along the way, they've expected something. And either I gave it to them in advance, like you with your students, you've been teaching them, they're appreciative of the knowledge. So you've been sharing with them. Now they've reciprocated their, that sharing relationship. So that would still be that nothing was free. They gave to you, you gave to them. It's a relationship that's balanced, right? But then you've got people who will share something and then expect you to do something later. Like you're not even thinking about it anymore.
That's the way dating is nowadays. You guys, the way people date now, especially, because of the fact a lot of men, they don't really start dealing with women until later, and they feel that if they take you out, you gotta have sex, or you gotta perform. And then I saw this lady on YouTube. She's talking about a guy took her out on the first date, and then he just gave her a hug, and she was mad because she wanted him to come up and have sex with her. So everything is complicated, and as you said, some people feel that you have to pay for everything. Everything is reciprocal. But I feel that sometimes you have to sometimes I think that a lot of times when you share, you're not really looking for something in return. For example, when you're in your classroom and you walk around and you see somebody struggling, and you can look at their faces, and most of the time, sometimes you sit, when you give them desk work, sometimes you sit down. But a lot of times when you're giving desk work, you walk around the class. And sometimes if you see a kid struggling, you might come over and pat him on the shoulder. Hey, that's good. That's good. Keep on. You're going to get it. Keep on. And so then you don't expect them to get up and pat you on the back or to say that a girl, Eve. That's a girl, Miss Henderson. Thank you. And you're doing really well. No. So sometimes you are sharing and you're not expecting anything in return.
That's true. But I think that that's you and me. Like you said, some of these things are probably hard for other people, but not for us. And to me, because it's not hard for me, I hate when it's manipulated or when it's being used in the wrong way, because I do give, if there is a lack or a need and it's something that I can fulfill, I'm learning to, again, oversharing and doing a lot for people who aren't going to appreciate it, or when you do something that hasn't been asked for, that's sometimes it's too much. You need to wait for someone to ask for help, or at least wait for the acknowledgement that there's something else needed. Like you said, when I'm walking around the classroom and I see Johnny doesn't get it, Sometimes I'll let Johnny come and ask a question, but sometimes, I will go over and maybe offer some assistance and, share my care with, if they're understanding the concept. But in real time, like I said, sometimes I think that we have to let them fuck it up or do whatever it is that they were going to do, because our interruption could, it could stunt their growth. If you're always seeking out Johnny because he doesn't get it, now Johnny doesn't learn how to ask for help. That's a problem. because now as an adult, Johnny's going to expect people to come help, even
Awesome.
though that doesn't make any sense. If nobody knows you need help, how are they going to come help? You know, people aren't just looking at you like how they looked at you in third grade, but sometimes people keep that, you know, it's been nurtured in them because each teacher has been told, you know, Johnny doesn't like to ask questions, so you're going to have to go over to Johnny. You know, they start accommodating for something that they haven't even experienced themselves yet. I would argue that, you know, when you allow a student to, you know, act or behave naturally without your preconceived notions of how they're going to be, they might have asked you a question. You know, they might have reached out to you, but you didn't give them a chance.
I don't know, because when I was teaching at university, a lot of people, they would say, well, Dr. Winters, you break it down too simple. And then, but the thing is, this is that what I felt is that me and my wife was talking to me once, and she said, Clyde, you know, people come to you, and you know, and they're paying all this money, and then they're getting an F in your class. And she said, I don't understand how you guys can do that. That the person who comes to you and they're, how you doing, immortal Melon, they're coming to you and they're getting these grades. And so but in my mind, I wouldn't explain it to them, but I would just say that I taught graduate courses. And you know, in graduate courses, you got to get a B. If you get less than a B,
got to take it again.
You're got to take it again, or you might get kicked out of the program.
I get that too.
And see, but I'm a cognitivist, and because I'm a cognitivist, if I gave you a test, the questions were going to be hard. They were going to be hard because I want you to think. But at the same time, I felt that you should teach. When you're teaching, you should teach your students everything. You should teach them the easy way to do stuff. You know, like that's what I used to like when I was I got this from this teacher named Miss Wallace, you know. And what I found out with Miss Wallace is that, you know, in my latter years of teaching, I was teaching special ed, you know, because the fact is that you know, we didn't have for eighth grade, we didn't just teach social studies. You had to teach the entire eighth grade program. So I had to start teaching special ed because I was only certified for social studies. Whereas I had been teaching for 20 years. For 20 years, I was teaching, you know, self-contained, you know, 10 or 15. I was teaching self-contained 6th, 5th grade, all that type of stuff. And so then what I liked about Miss Wallace is that the kids who took her 8th grade math class, when it was time to take the district test, you know, you can't go on the high school unless you pass the district test in Chicago. And so that she could teach them those little secrets, those little simple things, you know, those old sayings, you know, she's get the kids to say those old sayings, you know, I before he except after whatever, you know, and then she would teach them those little secrets. And so then when they learned math, they really learned it. And so then I feel that in teaching, you want to make your students so excellent in a subject that they can't help but pass, you know. Right. You see, because I found that a lot of you know, foundational Black Americans, they fail these tests when it's time to get certified. And they failed these tests when it's time to get certified because the fact is that they believe that they took a class 3 years ago. Because they took the class, they think they still understand it, when you got to go back and you got to go reteach it to yourself and things like that. And, you know, like I used to know when I was teaching school, you know, all the black students, you know, these people in 20s, 30s, whatever, they would always be working as individuals. Whereas the white kids, well, they weren't kids, but they're kids to me. I'm in my 50s. Get the hell out of here. But they're kids to me. And so the white students in my classes, they would form a study group, and then they would work together. And then when it was time to take a test to get certification or test for different things, they were prepared. How you doing, Brooklyn Queen 125? And so but we did it as individuals. And so then sometimes, in a sense, I found that by them sharing with each other. One person take part of the class, another person take another part of the class. And see, I understand this is that I'm because I'm an educational psychologist, I understand that people learn best by using emotion. A lot of people you'll see, it's always somebody who will see my lectures on Thursday and say, why is Dr. Winters shouting, And they don't understand is that I do that on purpose, because by shouting, that gives it an emotional tinge to the conversation, and it makes you become more involved in, what the hell is that nigga doing? And so see, but there's a reason for this. And so then that's why, in a sense, when you're sharing, it's hard to know. I remember you said something a while ago, and you said that sometimes you expect something in return. You see, but I think it's the degree of what you expect in return. Are you expecting, in a sense, something is monetary, emotional, and what are you expecting in return? That's the thing I think that's hurtful, because I know back in 1980 I was speaking at Compton College, and so Runoko Rashidi, he invited me out there to speak at Compton College, and so then I said, hey, I'll share with this brother, I'll share with him all my stuff on Black people. And he never mentioned, he died, and he never mentioned that all those pictures you had in the beginning you got from me, you see. But see, that's the way some people are. They just take. Maybe it was wrong for me to feel they should say where they got it from. But most of the time, in a sense, people are just so taking. I mean, how do you feel about that you share something with somebody, and instead of them, in a sense, appreciating it. Maybe it's wrong to think like that. Instead of them appreciating, they just take it, and then it's like they make you into a piece of doo-doo. It's like, yes, it is like they're treating you like a piece of doo-doo. And you know how doo-doo is. You know how it is when you accidentally walking down the street and you step into it. Ooh, but it looks as though they step into it and they say, damn, so what if they gave it to me? So what if they helped me? I don't have to help them. And see, that's one of the reasons why I love my students. I love my students I taught. And the reason I love my students I taught is that they're a community. Just like when they gave me that gift, when they gave me the sin, and the cartouche they gave me the sin, Pharaoh Winters. When they gave that to me, it wasn't a student from maybe class 1. All the students from class 1 or all the students from class 2, it was a mixture of them. All these guys, in a sense, they were in a WhatsApp, and it was from different classes, and see that's what I be trying to teach in my research class. Is I be trying to teach us is that we got to work together, and then by working together we can make in a sense things much better. And I think that's how you feel. That's why you work with a lot of these, and they're full of ish. But you work with a lot of these people, on Twitter, and you kind of moderate, and you give up your time. You could be giving that time to the babies, or giving that time to the youngsters, or your partner, in a sense. But you're giving up 2 hours, and these people don't even care. But at the same time, you're still sharing because you care. What is that? Why do we share and we care, but they don't really, in a sense, care that we've shared? I'm confused.
No, that's real. And that goes back to the whole just this concept of sharing is caring is flawed, because you shared your information with Runoko, and then he just was like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Peace out. And then, oh man, you just asked a hell of a question. You said, to what degree are we expecting something? So even though you weren't really expecting a payment or anything, really, you did work, and that should have merit. There should be some sort of credit given for the work that was done. And then you shared it. So then you said, I don't care anymore about the work that was done, because I'm just giving it freely. And the takers, that's how they're listening to you. That's how they're listening to me. Yeah. Give me some more. Yeah, no, I'll take some more. And
they do.
And they will. and
Yeah.
without a second thought. Um,
Chad with Risk says, taking without acknowledgement can bring about an emotional response. It does, and it's happiness to those buttholes.
That's right, man. Karma. Look, I used to think karma wasn't real because I would say that if karma's real, then why do white people not have any direct karma from all the trauma? But now I can say that karma is real and that we.
How do you know? How do you know?
Because there's a consequence for every action, whether it's good or bad. And to me, I think that what ends up happening is that people get to write their own story. So they get to say, that this was good or this was bad or this was because of something else. And I see in real time, if you're not acting in balance with everything else, then everything else will take you out, to the point where I've seen animals, Dr. Winters, the animals are fighting back against people who are not supposed to be in certain places. I saw this article, this elephant. Did you see this? It was a couple of years ago. The elephant, the woman, she died. I guess the elephant killed her or something. And then the elephant came back to her funeral and kind of trashed the funeral because the woman was kind of mean to the elephants. And I keep seeing these instances of even nature gets it. But no, that to me, that's karma. Karma is if you're working in SFET, then there will be balance and you have zero to do with it. Or, you can make it happen faster or slower, but it's going to happen because.
But why don't we feel that people get the right karma?
Because we don't understand time or we're impatient. I think that Black people have this laissez-faire about us because we've been here so long and we will be here. But in what context? I keep having this conversation. How will we be here? Are we going to be here in this first frequency mind, knowing where things are supposed to be in the order? And maybe we don't know all, but we do know that there is an order. Or are we going to be here, with chaos, taking, vampirism, and just a lot of imbalanced behavior? And I think that matters because, again, if you don't really care about how things are going because you know that we're going to be here always, then, share, don't share, care, don't care, whatever, it's okay. But then other people have very real thoughts about the next 50 years and how things are going to be in 100 years or even in 200 years. And, that's, I think, part of it is because we've shared so much with the world that it's like Mary Poppins bag, you can just keep pulling out of it and there's going to be something there. So people can just keep taking because the bag is infinity.
So we're an asset. To white people, we're an asset. But what you're saying is that we're an asset to the entire world.
Yes.
Because in a sense, they see us as we have monetary value. And because of the fact that to them, they always see us as being able to do this. But this whole thing about karma, I think karma is very complicated because it was people who I felt they should have been really messed over, and I didn't see them get messed over. And a lot of times people say, well, there's no such thing as karma, Dr. Winters, because so and so did this to me, and most of the time we never see them, or they don't get back what they did to you. And so then therefore you don't really feel that they really had a karmic experience, you see. So it's very difficult. And so then I don't know. Did you have a commercial? It's over. Did you want to talk about?
Do you have the commercial from last time?
No. If you send it to me, I'll try to hold it.
You got it.
You can send it to me as you can make a file. You can send it to me as what do you call this thing? You can send it either through Yoshi does it all the time, but I can't think of it. You can if it's a video file, you can send it to me through Google Drive, and you can send videos. But again, family, she's wearing a beautiful Sweatshirt, why don't you tell the people about it, please?
Yes. So today I have, oh, and I can share the commercial too. Here, let's do this.
Okay. Go to present.
Yes. And that one? No, that one? No, that one? No? Okay. I thought that I'd be able to share the commercial, but I can't. It says my browser blocked the screen. Okay, anyway, look, the math ain't mathin'. There we go. The math ain't mathin'. That's on our merch site, justeveagain.etsy.com. And I think that if things do not add up for you, like they haven't been adding up for me, then you can say it with your chest. We've got some other designs up there, and I've got special orders for people who want different colors. So just shoot me a line.
And where can they get it at? Is it on your website?
Yeah, that's on the website at justeveagain.etsy.com, and that's all spelled out. And just I just had this thought on my channel. I'm like really close to 500 subs. So if you haven't hit the bell on my channel, you could do that now. Get me close to 500. That would be cool.
Yeah, let's get it up to a couple of thousand,
That would be excellent. But baby steps. I find that sharing the information we share doesn't necessarily get a lot of attention. And then it's being overpowered with a lot of other people sharing other things. So flow instead.
It's a reality check, because most people aren't used to talking about what they're thinking about. And we're talking about stuff that people think about. Is sharing caring? What about these different things? And see, we're talking about stuff, most people want to go and listen to somebody talking about Black power, and we're going to do some political stuff. That's all fantasy. But we love the fantasy. And so most people want to hear that, or they want to hear about sports. They want to hear about sports. They want to hear about some gossip. But then it's things that come on your mind. And that's what I think that we try to do. We try to talk about reality. And see, there are thoughts out there. This is important and very important. Well, I'm going to show a couple of commercials, and we're going to come right back. Hey, I've just written a new book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals of America. Yes, I've written a new book. This book is called History and Culture of Afro-Americans. It's about the Aboriginal Americans. It's about the first people who inhabited America. Many people don't know about our great culture, this super culture that we created, but I discussed this book. In 489 pages, you'll find out so much information, great information, about, in a sense, what the Aboriginal foundational Black Americans did. You're going to see, in a sense, that Black people contributed much here. When the first Europeans got here, that's what they found. Yes, they found Black Aboriginals inhabiting the Americas. It was the Black Aboriginals that built this country. This is why you had to get my book, History and Culture of the Aboriginal Blacks of the Americas. In this book, you will find out the truth. You will know what we created. You will know who we are. Get this book. Buy it now. Today is today. We need to homeschool our children due to white supremacy. In many states, education departments are passing laws to deny our children from learning the history of foundational Black Americans. Today, you can learn how to organize and teach your children in a homeschool. In my book, A Guide to Homeschool Foundational Black Americans. You can use my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, to teach our children their history here in the United States. You can use my book to teach world history. And this book I've written is called the world history of the Black world. This will teach your children about every Black civilization in the world. Get this book. The time is now. Get these books to teach your children about their greatness, to prevent them from losing confidence in their own ability to learn and be successful future adults in employment and education. Hey, it's time for the Afrocentric Researcher course led by Dr. Clyde Winters. Join this course. The 15-week Afrocentric Researcher course will begin on April 16, 2024. It will last between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can go to clyde98.gumroad.com/L/ to join the class. The Afrocentric Researcher course is vital. In this course, you will learn how to do research. It will help you to write and conduct research. You see, you're going to learn how to do research. You're going to learn how to interpret research literature. And you're going to learn how to write books and articles. Yes, books and articles. And you're going to learn how to use research data to improve your small business. Already, in a sense, many former students have begun to write articles and books that they published. You too can write these articles and books after you take my class. You can make a single payment of $599. You can go to clyde98.gumroad.com/L/ZBWRJR, or you can make monthly payments. Go to clyde98.gumroad. Join me for my 15-week Afrocentric Researcher course. It's going to be the class that's going to help you to really be a success. It's going to start April 16, 2024, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us. Join us in this class. Learn how to do research. It's up to you. Yeah, again, I hope some of you guys will join my class. But that's the commercial experience, But the thing is that it's very important to understand is that it's maybe it's wrong, but I think in a way whenever we're trying to share, and we do care. But as in the case of Runoko Rashidi and others, a lot of times in a sense you still expect them to show appreciation. You still expect them in a sense to they don't just have to come out and acknowledge what you gave them.
Dr. Winters, that was a very simple fix. You didn't do the work. It's so simple to give acknowledgement to. You do it all the time. People do it all the time. I heard somebody said they want to give credit when it's some drama, but then, they don't want to give credit when they can take the credit. And I find that happens a lot. The sharers get overlooked because the takers take credit. And then the sharers, maybe they weren't even in it for the credit as much as they were just in it to make sure that the information got out or was, people could have it.
Yeah.
Distribution of information,
But it's very complicated. I know Willie D, he was talking earlier this week about these two twins, these two sisters in New York. They were twins, cute girls. And how this because one of the girls wouldn't talk to the guy, he ended up stabbing them and killed one of them. And I mean, it's becoming crazy out there. It's becoming crazy. What I mean by crazy is that people feel they should share their whole life with you sometime, but it's always so gangster. See, most of the relationships, should I say? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Most of the relationships, in many cases, some of the relationships between guys and gals are really rape relationships. What I mean by that is that, let me explain to you, is that okay, you're a girl and you meet this guy and you think he's cool. And then next you find out he's a monster, but you're afraid to quit him. You can't move. You can't get away from him. And so then he's going to go with you. He makes you go with him. So it's rape. It's rape. It is rape. But because of the fact, in the sense, you don't want them to hurt you, or you don't want them to hurt your family or your children or whatever. then it can be very complicated. But see, we have today, in a sense, many people, they've invented a rape culture. And what I mean by rape culture is that many people feel that you should share with them everything, and that everybody should care about you because you're sharing. When really, in a sense, people should have the freedom. They should have the freedom to really be who they are. They should have the freedom to share what they want to share. But at the same time, in a sense, we feel that we should control other people. How you doing, Wade Dunlap, Black Lyron? What up, dude? But the thing is, is that when you share, when you care, but why do you have to allow people to want to jump on you or to make you, in a sense, feel? And so I feel that so many of us allow people to dominate us, allow people to control us, hurt us, and rape us. You can be raped. You don't have to be sexually raped. You can be raped by people, in a sense, who you supported. You went out of your way to support. You, whenever they needed your help, you was there for them. But then when you call on them for them to give you your help, when you call on them to be supportive of you, and even though you're down, and yet when you call on them to be just as supportive of you as you were to them, because somebody else is more famous or somebody else they feel deserves more. And see, this is the whole point. We're always grading each other. We're sometimes grading people who are rotten, assholes. Sometimes we allow assholes to get too much credit, and because of the fact they fake share. What I mean by fake share is they act like they're sharing with you knowledge, or they act like they're sharing with you confidential things. They act like they're your friend, when in reality they're not your friend. When in reality they're just using you and they're waiting. That's what it is. That sometimes people can be around you and they're waiting just so they can hurt you.
That's dark, and I guess it feeds the argument of when you overshare, it's to your detriment. Maybe sometimes you hold some of this stuff close because everybody's not deserving of the same thing. It sounds like we're talking about value. And then do people appreciate or value the information or whatever was given to them, or do they expect it? I feel like our society has the participation trophy. Yes, Marsha, greedy. People are entitled and expect things because just of existing. And then you've got the givers, and then you've got the takers, and then you've got the people in between. So I find that when people don't value what's being given, then it's, they're not going to take care of it. They're not going to put the proper respect on it. They're going to abuse it. And I mean, that kind of goes into what you were talking about, how rape doesn't have to be sexual. It is a forced behavior or a strategy that is used to manipulate people into doing things because they don't want to feel the consequence. Now, is it a deserving consequence or whatever? That's why people don't move sometimes. I think someone in the chat said Stockholm syndrome, and battered people syndrome, and not wanting to move because it's scary. You're cool with the devil in the trunk because you've been familiar with them for a long time. And then, you don't want to go out into the wilderness because there could be a even worse devil that you knew how to handle this one. But this one that you're only going to get beat on Wednesdays. And if you don't have a stakeout in time, or if it's, you start to accommodate and make checklists for how to stay out of the way of the pain.
Well, just like when my daughter was growing up, I used to always tell my daughter, I said, you should never want a boyfriend that always wants to give you gifts. Give you the little dolls and the little cute things and stuff. Because I said those people, they usually end up being assholes, because most of the time they always feel that they can be mean to you, and then they can give you a gift and they can get out of it. And before you know it, you're locked in a relationship with somebody who you thought was cool, who's really a butthole, Mm-hmm. But the point is this, is that, like Like a lot of people, they always say, hurt people hurt people. That's a damn lie. A person who's been hurt, a person who's been really hurt, they don't want to hurt anybody else
Right.
because they remember that pain, you see.
Right.
So I feel that assholes hurt people, and that's just the way it is, because, you brought up something that's very important. A lot of times it appears to us as I'm getting a nickel. It appears to us that as Black people, that a lot of times we give stuff and we're not being respected, and we're not. But see, the whole point is that what it is that we live under a diabolical system where these people, they take everything we give because, see, they have no culture. See, Europeans have no culture. When the Caucasian came over here, he wanted to, in a sense, he wanted to carry on in America his culture from over there. That's why you find the little people from Switzerland. They used to wear their little costumes. The white Irish, they come over and they do their little jigs. And then, the people who are supposed to be educated, they go to plays or they listen to classical music. And so then what happened is that because of the fact that they have no culture, they took our food, Southern cooking, which is Black cooking. They took our food, and then they say, aha, apple pie. We made the damn apple pie. But now, in a sense, they made shepherd pie. And who likes that mess? We made apple pie. And they said, oh, apple pie is American. We are, so the food they eat, you see, the music they play, American music is Black music. But they tell you, you have no culture, you have no music. You see, because if you're culture, you had to have classical. But American music is Black music. Okay, then in a sense, they say that you can't speak English, and yet the most well-known people who speak English, Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and the master of the English language, James Earl Jones. That man is fantastic. And in the past, it was Paul Robeson. But again, so we even dominate the language, you see. So we made the food, we made, in a sense, the music, we made the language, like the old rap music used to be good until we got this trap music, but back in the day it was really good. Then, in a sense, we made all the best inventions, the computer, the cell phone, the resistor, my favorite, toilet tissue. You laughing, but if you would have been back in the day with that newspaper in the bathroom trying to get it soft to wipe your,
Yes.
you love toilet tissue too.
Well, no, I've been in the trenches, and when we talked about that one time, I know that friction can be a difference between a chapped ass and a clean one. No, that's real. We share because people value what's ours, but they don't value us.
And wow. Come on, tell me about it.
They'll tell us it's because we don't value ourselves, and then they'll point to Black on Black crime.
You don't think so? You don't think we value ourselves?
No, I know we value ourselves. I just feel like we have a disconnect with time. Like what we were talking about earlier with karma. We were expecting an immediate response to something because that's how a rubber band goes. You pull it back and it snaps. So then the karma would be that it snapped. You pulled it back, action, and then the rubber band snapping is the reaction. And people think that karma is reactionary like that. And I know that I don't know a lot, but I know that we're so small. Have you seen that video? It starts with like a grain of sand, and then it goes real big all the way up to the planets, and then it starts going very small. Everything starts to get magnified. So from the stars to the atmosphere to big buildings to, just all of these different levels of how large things are and how small we are. And I find that people try to make themselves more important than they are. And it's because of how much they care about themselves. So I can't say we're a people who don't care about ourselves when I know that we've got this overinflated sense of self-importance in the grand scheme of life. Like people think that, my problem is bigger than yours, or, that we can play the balance game with what people are going through. And the fact remains that everybody's going through something, and you might not have been able to handle it like they could, or you've gone through something that they might not have been able to handle, but you got through it, they got through it, and now it's a new day. So
but it's complicated,
for sure.
Doorbell said I'm sorry. Doorbell said Dan Patrick recently interviewed Olympian Carl Lewis, and he talked about how losing made him a winner. Over-parenting don't want their kids to lose. No, I didn't want my kids to lose, but they said, F you, Pops. I got to find it out. I wanted an easy way. I used to always say I wish my parents would have told me the rules. You see, when I went away, I always read a lot. And because I always read a lot, I thought I was an American. Because I thought I was an American, and nobody told me different. I thought that everything was fair and everything was honest. And I thought, in a sense, if I just play by the rules, I'm serious. I thought if I just play by the rules, that the world was going to be my oyster. Yeah. And see, but that's the whole point, is that I was living in a fantasy. I was living in a book world, and I was made a victim because the fact, in the sense, is that I thought I was an American, and I thought I could get the American dream. And I thought that reading these books and looking at TV programs, they had shared with me the key to success. But I didn't know that what they were sharing to me, in a sense, wasn't something that I could use as a way to be successful, but that they were really talking to those other people. And so then we don't understand that we have a culture. We don't understand that we are the culture. We not only built the United States, we are the culture. But see, the thing is that we don't have the time. See, to really be able to understand your situation, family, you had to be able to take the time to think. You had to take the time to go into a shadow room. You had to go and you had to really think about your life. But see, we try not to think about our life. We try not to think about our life. I think that the best thing that ever happened to me was in 1972. 1972, my wife said, you're an asshole. I wish I could beat you up. I said, I love the hell out of you. Why do you say I'm an asshole? She said, I just wish sometimes that I could just knock you out. I said, why do you feel like that? I said that I do the best I can. I give you this, I give you that. She said, well, I still wish I could whip your ass. So I said, okay, you be me and I be you. So we went into role playing. And I said, that ain't me. She said, this is you. And that woke me up, because the fact, in a sense, by her sharing with me how I act, sharing with me how I was, and and then, in a sense, when by role playing, I got to see me. I didn't know I was like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I didn't know I was like that.
It is that how people perceive you. We started Reality Check with that. Nobody knows me unless you know me, and nobody knows you unless they know you. And then what they know of you and what they know of me, it might be way far off from, the total me, but people are going to put on the glasses and see you how they see you. Or, we're blind to how we treat people. So, then that role play, the role reversal thing, gives us an opportunity to, take a glimpse in someone else's reality. Because again, your reality is that you are however you were, and what she's talking about was completely foreign to you until she showed you. So maybe sharing is communication. Communication is caring. And then
but communication is terrible, because it's just like our friends. We don't always communicate with our friends sincerely, because a lot of times we don't want to look at the negative parts of our friends, the negative parts of our partners. We see them and we recognize them, but we feel if we play them up too much, then we'll lose. See, we all want to win. We don't want to lose. We all want to win. And so sometimes we feel that we shouldn't really tell them everything, and it's just like when your kids become adults. A lot of times, my kids always say they don't like to talk to me because I tell the truth, but I'm trying not. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying not to always tell the truth. I'll lie to you. But but the thing is, this is that. But sometimes, sharing. Sometimes you can be sharing because you're caring, but sometimes what you're sharing, they don't want to hear it, or people don't want to hear it. What do you think about that?
When you're sharing and people don't want to hear it, it kind of goes back to the health scare of the decade, right? And I think that people don't want to hear things that they are unfamiliar with, or that they don't understand the importance or the value of, or they just don't want to hear it from you. Because 9 times out of 10, the same health information that was being shared and buried, if it had come from the other side, then people would have been very happy to participate in keeping themselves healthy like that. But it didn't. It came from this unfamiliar, this spooky, this unconventional, these people who are always talking shit. They're always angry. These people can't never be happy about nothing. And and people look at how we're living our lives and the conversations we're having and saying, that's too hard.
Right. And but what I found with the pandemic is that many of the people who succumbed in the pandemic were people in the sense who believed in the system and believed in Europeans. I'll take Jesse Jackson, his wife. Okay. Jesse Jackson's wife, she didn't get the jab. And when she caught that ailment, she recovered right away. But then Jesse Jackson, he had got the jab and he ended up having to go to rehabilitation and he ain't been right since. Can't hardly walk and all that type of stuff now. And so to me, it told me that those people who really believed in the system, who really believed in those people, in a sense, who were out there, giving them all that jab, that they're the ones who succumbed. They're the ones, in a sense, were pulled into it because they trusted the system. For those of us who didn't trust the system, we said, "Oh, no." Like look at Africa. Africa, they didn't even get the so-called cure because they didn't have the money, and none of them hardly died.
Right.
None of them. And then in Malagasy, they was given. They was fighting with a hot toddy, a little honey, a little rum, and that was it. But the point is this: is that what you find, in a sense, is what do you believe? And so when people are sharing stuff with you and you don't trust it, then it's different. It's different. And then so many people, they wanted to travel during that time, that even though they knew not to get that, they wanted to travel. And then when they traveled, see, that's how I first noticed it, is that many airline pilots, in a sense, had when they would go fly after they had got the during the pandemic, a lot of times they would die for some reason. But then it was some brothers who were trying to fly to Egypt, and they took and they died. But again, that's come see, come saw. It's just that knowledge is power. Sometimes you need to share. But because of the fact, in a sense, that it looks as though we don't care, we do care when people steal our culture. But the point is this: is that we're always waiting for Caucasians to give us the seal of approval, and so then we don't even know what's important. Some of us, and some of us don't know what's important unless the European gives it the seal of approval. They had to stamp it, and so that's why, in a sense, it would appear that even though American culture, apple pie, we did it, we done it, we made the food, the music, the language. They're always using our slang words. They're not culture. They got a knuckle dab and all that type of mess. They got to steal everything we do. Our sisters, they got to, in a sense, they got to have their hair braided. I mean, back in the 19th century, the women used to get those little things to make their butts stand out. But it's nothing new. It's nothing new. But see, the whole point is this: is that they want to make you feel inferior in terms of this. And so So when we're sharing our cultural experiences, when we're sharing those cultural elements that make us who we are, then in a sense, they don't care, and because they don't care, they take it for granted, and then they want to hurt you for that.
That's true. The invaders, if anything, maybe they can coin that. The usurpers, the fake sharers, fake sharing. You were talking about fake sharing earlier, and it made me think about my last non-working relationship. And when people don't value the work, you turn into a sacrifice, and you've got a willing sacrifice, and you've got a kicking and screaming sacrifice. And while both are sacrifices, the willing one, the one who will go above and beyond and will do the most, that's the one you want, because that's the one that's giving their all.
You would think that's what they want.
Well, I think that they want the willing sacrifice because they don't have to do anything to get it. It's theirs. And then from there, do they appreciate the sacrifice, or do they just eat it and ask for more? People who want second and thirds, and they haven't let their food digest properly, or people who, get a free sample at Costco and then come right back around and get another free sample, and come back around and get another free sample. And they're just getting all these free samples. And okay, it's a free sample, but damn, like at some point you need to probably buy this, because like, don't other people need a chance? But I've seen in real time people argue the lady down. It's a free sample and I'm owed because it's free. So I want it, and I don't know that people argue with customers. The customer's always right, so then they give them more free samples. But it's the battering, that wearing down of, your offense or your guard. You say no, and they're like, well, can I ask a different way? Or maybe if I ask it more mean, or I'm loud, or maybe I can ask someone to ask for me. And then you'll give it to them to give to me. People start moving all
using.
Yeah. And I find that, we go above and beyond a lot of times. And it's for this fake share. And what I mean by fake share, if you feel like someone is giving you information that is workable, something that you can do something with, well, maybe that is them sharing with you. But if it's not reciprocal, what do I mean by that? I mean, if you aren't getting the same thing from their information that they're getting from your information, then, is the share real? And I find that sometimes people can fluff their share with a lot of big words or big gestures. You said you told your daughter not to go for the guy who's always giving gifts because he's probably going to be an asshole later. And, in real time, I've seen the asshole give lots of gifts, and it's supposed to make up for being an asshole. And I don't know that that's.
I hit you by mistake. Here's some roses.
Right.
Yeah, I did knock a tooth out, but I didn't mean it. I gave you a black eye, but here's the dolly. See this the dolly and stuff. It's complicated.
It is. People, with the Democrats and the Republicans, we say vote for the couch, no tangibles, no vote.
Right.
But in real time, people will say, the Democrats have done so much for Black people. And then you ask them to start listing out what they've done. And these things that they've done haven't actually been for us.
That's right.
They've used us to get the benefit.
Like the Open Housing Act. They said, no. Like in Chicago, all the Jews used to live on the southeast side. On the southeast side, they used to live on that. After the Open Housing Act, they moved off the southeast side and they was able to go into the suburbs because we allowed it so that they could use it. I think that Professor Black the other day was talking about this fund they set up for Black people. We only got 50 million, and they gave Latinos 325 million. And so the thing is, Europeans like to play a joke on us. They like to play a joke on us. And because they like to play a joke on us, they always, in a sense, want to give us a carrot, and then they take it away. I mean, just look just look in the past 100 years, the majority of black people have mainly been making it off government jobs, policemen, agency, but very few, but many of us haven't been into the corporations. Many of us haven't been allowed to be in the corporations. They brought a few black women in there and then run them crazy until they're so burnt out that they had to give up. But basically, it's always been government jobs, and so when they cut back on government jobs, and therefore you see a depression in the community. You see, but then also you talked about these good workers. Like when I think about people like President Johnson, and I think about President Reagan, how they had secretaries with them for 30, 40 years, 20, 30, 40 years, where sometimes you can be a very good secretary, a very good worker for some black people, and then they think they should use you. Do you think that's because? Do you think we learned that from Europeans? Since Europeans use us when we're great, that we feel we should use other people? I don't know. What do you think it is? I don't understand it.
I think the European has mastered the art of the people commodity, and then from there, if everybody is a resource, then everybody is a resource, period. So now some black people have picked that up because it's very easy to just blanket statement everybody, and then you can get personal or feely with whoever you want to, because at the end of the day, they are going to be used in some form or fashion. I don't know that that's something that we've had always, as much as since we've been so close to these people who do this. It's a behavior that we've picked up. Somebody in the chat earlier, it might have been Dorabelle, talking about capitalism. It's the system we live in is a money-making system. So if you've got people who are willing to give up what's theirs, well, that feeds the system because we didn't have to pay for it. And if you're going to work yourself to death, well, that's even better because I'm going to get the optimal work out of you. And because you've worked yourself to death, you're not going to expect to get anything from it. You're going to take what I give you and work yourself to death. And I'm just going to replace you with somebody else who's going to do the same thing. And I think that maybe years of putting others first, even to the point where we were nursing their damn babies, that trauma might still be lingering, where, if we put them first, then they won't be so hard on us. Or if we help them get to where they need to get to, then we can get back to doing what we were supposed to do.
That's complicated though, because I know that sometimes I know my wife, she said that she would get into the molasses a couple of times, and she said voice would tell her, just kill the baby, kill that baby, or don't tend to him. I don't know if you had those thoughts, but a lot of times you have to fight those thoughts. But I think also is that many of us don't know how to share. Some of us don't know how to share. Our families try to teach us, but it's always a yin and a yang. It seems as though you can know how to share, but you run into a partner, they don't know how to share. Mm-hmm. For example, when I met my wife, I didn't believe in love. I didn't know what the hell love was. You're beautiful. Since you're beautiful, I love the fact you're beautiful. You have pretty legs, beautiful figure. You're just fantastic. So you're beautiful. But she had to teach me how to love. I didn't know what love was, because the point is that I felt, in a sense, is that number one, you're gonna always have babies. You can always have a wife or girlfriend. So those are things that just happen. But she had to teach me what love was by her loving me. And so it's very difficult. It's very difficult in a sense, is that you can be sharing something, but a lot of times if that person isn't open, even though you can be sharing something and it's with care, if that person isn't open to accepting what you're trying to share, it can be a waste of time.
Mm-hmm. I think about children, or at least, I was told that you'll appreciate it more when you have to buy it yourself. And damn it, if they weren't 100% accurate about that. And not that I didn't take care of my things, but as soon as I had to start paying for it, well, no, now I'm paying extra attention to it. I think the first tennis shoes I bought with my own money stayed clean for months. I mean, it was like a world record because I was not trying to go through this all over again, with having to buy something else because it's not working for me, or it doesn't look the same, or it doesn't look right. But, in the past as a child, maybe I don't take as much care to, my belongings because I know it's going to be replaced with something that I didn't have to do anything to make it happen. Children learning about sharing, it's a catch-22 because some children didn't have brothers, sisters, or a big family. What if you're an only child? Then who are you sharing with? And then who did you practice this with?
But those are the fun people to use.
The fun people to use to get them to share?
No, they're the fun people to use because, see, it's just like the most sharing, usually, not all the time, but usually the most sharing child that you have is that first one. Because that first child, she has to be able to deal with other people. So a lot of times they will be sharing with other people things because of the fact that they want to have friendships. Mm-hmm. They want to have, sometimes it can be very hurtful too. You see, yeah. So it's complicated, but then when you got a big family, then, it's different things going on in the family, but you can always run to somebody somebody's going to listen to you in the family, somebody,
That's right.
And so then, but when you're that first child, you have to have better language skills because you have to be more explicit because you had to be explicit with your parents. So you're explicit with the people that you interact with. So it's very, very, very complicated, but you want to have ownership, like Marsha Byron said, that's okay. My property is paid for and I worked myself to death, but now it is mine for now. And I'm 70. And that's a good point because I look at the fact I hear a lot of women say, oh, I don't want to work. I don't want to work. And so then, but nowadays you got to work because if you want to have the material things that you want out of life, often just one person in the family, your man is not going to be able to provide that for you if he just works by himself. So sometimes you do need that extra work, just like today, I just turned on the light. Don't get mad at me. But, just like today, one of my daughters, she called up and she said, look at this. And I knew what she was trying to do. She said, look at this. Look at my stomach. I said, oh, do you have gas? Pops, look at this. I said, what is that? She said, I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to have a daughter. And then I said, hey, that's wonderful. She said, I didn't expect you to be like that. I expected you to be different. I said, why am I going to be different? I said, I don't have to take care of that baby. I'll love him. I'll lump him out. I'll give you maybe a few $100s to buy him a nice wardrobe. But I said that I want you to be happy. You and my son, y'all have to deal with that. I'll do what I can, but I can only take care of one family. I can't take care of two. But I said that you have to understand that you're on your own. I mean, just like a Viral Drip says, he said, Mama may have, Papa may have, Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless a child that's got his own. That's got his own. And yeah. It's just like what you said when you bought your first tennis shoes. When you bought your first tennis shoes, because you had invested in that with your time and your hard-earned money, you probably had a little job or something, then therefore you appreciated it more, you felt, than when mom or dad was doing it. So I think it's very important, but I do think that the sharing and caring is very complicated. I think that in most cases, you sometimes don't really care, but in a way you would like to show appreciation, Like if somebody's having a baby shower, everybody, my wife, now that she's died, everybody said, Pops, you come to the baby shower. I said, I don't come to baby showers. You said, well, you came when Mama was here. I said, well, she made me come. I don't come to baby showers. I'll buy whatever you want me to buy, but I don't come to baby showers. I said, that's for the ladies. That's for girls. That's for the women, Well, you came. I said, well, that's because she made me. Just like you're sitting there, baby boy, because Your wife wants you there. Your girlfriend wants you there. And I think that this is a very important thing, is that we do sometimes expect something from sharing, but I think a lot of times what we want is appreciation. We want to know that person really came across. It's been 2 hours. That you want to say, make a last comment?
Yeah, this topic is definitely complex, and as we have these reality checks, they're going to be complex. I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things, and they're not all about reparations, even though I know that once we get reparative justice, maybe some of these thoughts will expand into other topics. Sharing is caring. Look, right now, I find that sharing of information can show that you care, as long as you're doing it because you want to. From there, maybe we're too tied to what work we did to give or present the information. And if that's the case, then you got to do like the white people do. You got to put a stamp on it, put your name on it, make sure that people can't just take it, but if you are giving it, then maybe we will not be so stressed out when we're giving it freely. And then, people are going to do what they're going to do with information. If people are taking information that's not yours because you gave it to them, then at some point they're going to get called out on the information. And, maybe that's the karma that people want to happen in real time. It'll happen. You just gotta.
One day we're going to have to do a talk on karma.
Yeah,
it's complicated, very complicated. Family, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for staying with us and sharing with us, especially you guys in the chat. A lot of stuff you say is so important, because you have thoughts too, and we need to hear those thoughts. And even though it's in the chat, we still want the community, we still want the family to hear it. You guys have a good evening. Take care. Good night. Bye.